Oh, primary 6 friends, how are you doing once again? I know you are great and you did all the work I left you with you last time. Okay, I left you with you the exercise about adverbs. Yeah, we were doing adverbs, and the good thing is we had gone through that exercise together, and because we had gone through it together, all of you did it wonderfully well, and that is why we shall not waste time to go back to that exercise, because all of you did it very well. Today we shall go to our new topic. So you have to pay attention here. This is a new topic. And what are we talking about? We are talking about pronouns. We are talking about pronouns. What are pronouns? What are pronouns? It is another part of speech. You know the parts of speech. It is another part of speech. It is very, very important because it helps us to avoid the awkward repetition of nouns or words functioning as nouns. You know, someone can have a very boring speech, very boring, and you don't want to listen to the person because of repeating a word again and again and again and again. Okay? But to avoid that very awkward repetition, that very unpleasant repetition of a word, especially if it is a noun or a word functioning as a noun, we use another part of speech we call pronouns. Therefore, pronouns are words that we use to replace nouns or words functioning as nouns to avoid repetition. Do we remember what nouns are? I'm sure yes. I'm sure very yes. Nouns are words we use to name things. We use to name places. We use to name people. So if you are, for example, talking about Henry, yeah? You say, although Henry is clever, Henry failed a simple test. You hear? Although Henry is clever, Henry failed a simple test. Having the same name twice in a sentence, or even more than twice. You say, Henry is very clever. Henry failed a simple test. Henry is a smart boy. He sits next to the, you say, Henry sits next to the teacher, beside the window. So you find the whole conversation is full of one name. So to avoid that, we use a pronoun. Okay? So instead of saying, although Henry is clever, Henry failed a simple test, in the place of Henry, where Henry would come the second time, we use a pronoun. Okay? So you can see my arrow. Jumping from Henry to he, meaning that this he refers to Henry in the same sentence. Therefore, a pronoun is a word that replaces a noun or a word functioning as a noun to avoid repeating that noun in the same sentence. Let us look at another example. The candidates packed 10 jerrycans of porridge as they went on a tour to Western Uganda last year. If we did not have pronouns, it means where there is they here, we would have the candidates again. And it would be very, very ugly to have a sentence like, the candidates packed 10 jerrycans of porridge as the candidates went on a tour to Western Uganda last year. You see? But because of pronouns, our sentence is smart. Instead of repeating the candidates, we can have they. Okay? Meaning that Henry and the candidates, these are the nouns we had in those sentences. Those are the nouns we had in the sentences. And then he and they are the pronouns that were used in the places of Henry and the candidates respectively. Why? Because we did not want to repeat those nouns. Then, having replaced these nouns with pronouns, these nouns are now baptized. They get another name. When you replace a noun with a pronoun, that noun is now called an antecedent of a pronoun. Meaning that now Henry and the candidates are antecedents of the pronouns he and they respectively. Okay? Listen well. A noun is not called an antecedent. It is called an antecedent of a pronoun only when it has been replaced by a pronoun in the same sentence. That's when we call it an antecedent of a pronoun. When it has been replaced by a pronoun in the same sentence. Okay? This is well understood? Good. Good. Now, we have quite a number of pronouns. Let us begin with the personal pronouns, because we have many. Let us look at personal pronouns. Personal pronouns refer to particular persons or things. Are you wondering, because I'm saying personal pronouns refer to things? Even a thing can be a person in a sentence. We are going to look at it. I'm saying that personal pronouns refer to particular, the specific persons or things we are talking about in a sentence. One, it might be the person speaking. For example, I am speaking. I am speaking. That means in this class right now, I am the first person because I am the one speaking. Then we have the person spoken to. Now you, my class. I am speaking, I'm the first person. And I'm speaking to you. Now you become the second person. Okay? I am speaking, the first person. Speaking to you. So you, my class, now you are the second person. You want to say people because you are many? No. In pronouns, we shall see how you can be one and how you can be many. So for now, we shall say you are the second person. You, my audience. And what are we talking about? We are talking about pronouns. So pronouns become the third person. Pronouns become the third person. The person spoken about. So I, the first person, speaking to you, the second person, speaking about pronouns. So pronouns will become the third person. Personal pronouns have different forms. The subjective form of a pronoun is when the pronoun is in the place of the subject. The subject is the doer of the action. If not doing the action, then we are talking about the main character in the sentence, the main thing being talked about in the sentence. Okay? It's either the doer of the action or the main thing or character being talked about in the sentence. So the subjective form, that is when the pronoun is actually the subject. When the pronoun is the subject. Then the objective form, that is when the pronoun is the object. The object is the receiver of the action. The subject is doing the action, doing it on the object. So the subject is doing the action and then the object is receiving the action. You get the difference? So I is the subject. I say, I am teaching. I am teaching. I am the one doing the action. So that is the subjective form of the first person pronoun. I am teaching. I am doing the action. But if we say, you are teaching me. You see, you are teaching me. You are doing the action. I am receiving it. Then I become the object. So me is the objective form of the first person pronoun I. And then we have the possessive form. The possessive form shows the belonging, ownership. Okay? The ownership. If I have a pen, I say, this is my pen. In other words, this pen belongs to me. It is my pen. I own it. It is mine. Okay? So the possessive pronoun is that. Then, this is the singular. When you go to plural, I am one. I am one. But we can be many, speaking as a group. If we are many speaking as a group, we shall say we. So we is a plural. Okay? We is the plural form of the first person pronoun. Okay? And then the objective form is us. He told us. He is the subject. He is the subject, the one we are talking about. So if I come to you and say, he told us, in other words, we received the verb, we received the action. He told us. So told us is the objective form. Okay? Us is the objective form because we received the action. Then the possessive plural is our or ours. I say, this is our car. This car is ours. It belongs to us. So the possessive plural is that. Then the next form we have is the reflexive form. The reflexive form, the self words, okay? The self words, the reflexive form. Okay. The reflexive form. The reflexive form, these are the self words. What do? They are used to show that this subject did the action without any help. If we say, I killed the snake myself. I, the subject, killed is the action, the snake myself. It means I did it without any help. So the reflexive forms of pronouns show that the subject did the action without any help. So the first person pronoun is I. Its objective form is me. The possessive is my and mine. Then the plural form is we. That means the plural form of me is us. The plural form of my is our. The plural form of mine is ours. Yeah? And the plural form of myself is ourselves. You see, we are now doing two things at the same time. We are looking at personal pronouns with the singular and plural forms. Let us look at the second person pronoun. The second person pronoun is simply you, the one I'm speaking to. Its objective form is also you, but the possessive is your or yours. This is your shirt. This shirt belongs to you. It is yours. You see? Then we have you singular and you plural because I can speak to you, an individual. For example, you. I can say Isaac. Isaac. And I say you. Referring to one person, Isaac. And I say you, Isaac. You. But I can also speak to the whole class. Still I say, you boys. Boys are many. For example, you. All of you, the boys. So that will be you plural. Then if I refer to only one, Jacqueline, you, Jacqueline, that one becomes a you singular. So that's why you see you singular and then you plural. Because you can say you referring to one person and you say you referring to a group or two or many. Okay? So still the plural forms are like we had in the singular forms. Now, we have the reflexive forms, yourself and yourselves. Yourself That is when you were using you referring to an individual. You referring to an individual, the reflexive form is yourself. But you referring to a group, the reflexive form is yourselves, because those are many. So the only second person pronoun we have is you. But when we go to the third person, we have three of them: he, she, and it. He, she, and it. Then the objective forms are him for he, her for she, it for it. The possessive forms are his for he, her and hers for she, and then its. ITS. Do not confuse the its with IT apostrophe S. This has no apostrophe. Its with an apostrophe is a contraction. The short form of it is. It is. But this one, the possessive form of the pronoun is its without an apostrophe. Without an apostrophe. Now, the plural form of he, she, and it is simply they. The plural form of these three is they. Then, the plural form of him, her, and it, the objective form is them. Okay? So we can say, thy did it, thy did it. He helped them to do it. If they say, they did it, that means this is they, the subject. That's why you see the subjective form. They are the doers of the action. They did it. But if they received the action, we say, he did it to help them. They received the action. Okay? So this is the objective form. Then we have the possessive plural. The plural form of his, her, and its is there. There. But if we say, this book is his, this book is his. His is a singular. But the plural we say, this book is theirs. Theirs. Don't put an apostrophe between R and S. Say, this book is theirs. If we say, this ruler belongs to her, it is her ruler, it is hers, then we can say, this ruler is theirs, it belongs to them, it is theirs. Theirs is the plural. Then the reflexive form, the ones that show that the subject is doing the action without any help, we have himself, herself, itself, and their plural form is themselves. The plural form of himself, herself, and itself is themselves. Let us look at them in sentences. Let us look at them in sentences. We care for Dash when our mother was ill. We cared for Dash when our mother was ill. We have self in brackets, meaning this sentence needs a reflexive pronoun. And when we see we, that means we need the reflexive form of the first person pronoun plural. We cared for ourselves when our mother was ill. We cared for ourselves when our mother was ill. You see? You see in the application. But there is something very, very important to remember. You see these reflexive pronouns? They are written as single words. They are not separated at all. Myself, one word. Him, themselves, yourself, yourselves, himself, itself, herself. They are written as single words, not separated. So even when we come here to use them in sentences, we write them as single words. All the girls will clean the class by Dash. Remember we said the subject is doing the action without any help. So all the girls will clean the classroom or will clean the class by themselves. Okay? A friend of Dash visited the theater last week. We have us. So we need a possessive pronoun in its objective form. We need a possessive noun in its objective form. So this sentence will be a friend of ours. A friend of ours. Because we say, our friend will visit us, or our friend visited the theater. Our friend visited the theater. A friend of ours visited the theater. So if we had he, we would say a friend of his. If we had she, we would say a friend of hers. If we had I, we would say a friend of mine. If we had them, we would say a friend of theirs. You see? If we had we would say a friend of ours. So this is how we can use forms of pronouns in sentences, particularly personal pronouns. Remember, we have the objective form, the subjective form, the possessive form, and the reflexive form. So continue friends, and complete the exercise. It is very, very simple. Where you forget, refer back to the table and see what is the correct form of the pronoun I will use in this sentence. And remember to write it correctly. Don't separate the reflexive pronouns and do not use apostrophes in the possessive pronouns. Till we meet again.